City News is brought to you by East Brewster Lawyers, Rotorua, celebrating 100 years of legal excellence and innovation.
Kia ora, tonight on City News. The Rotorua District Council is giving residents the opportunity to speak on the council's annual plan proposals. Time is almost up for entries for the Trustpower Rotorua District Community Awards, and a local man is set to finish 52 half marathons in 52 weeks. Rotorua District Council is giving local residents the opportunity to discuss proposals for the next financial year at a public meeting this week. The draft plan identifies council programs and projects for the coming year, proposals to support Rotorua 2030 vision and goals, and budgets. Mayor Steve Chadwick says the public meeting and the whole consultation process is an opportunity for the community to discuss with the council concerning proposals for the coming financial year as set out in the draft annual plan. The public meeting on the 2014-15 draft annual plan is on this Thursday at 5 p.m. at the Council Civic Centre, and any interested Rotorua residents are welcome to attend. Locals are encouraged to ensure their favourite voluntary groups are part of the Rotorua District's biggest celebration of volunteers in the 15th annual Trustpower Rotorua District Community Awards. Trustpower Community Relations Representative Jess Somerville says the awards are about giving back.
But that's why it's really nice to sort of pay it forward and actually just give these people a bit of a pat on the back and show them that the work they're doing is really making a difference, and, you know, we're really grateful for what they do in our community.
Entry forms are available from council offices or can be completed online at trustpower.co.nz/community awards. Entries close at 5 p.m. on Thursday, the 24th of April. Getting around Rotorua this Easter Saturday and Sunday just got easier, with smart card users travelling for free on all City Ride Rotorua buses this Saturday the 19th and Sunday the 20th of April. Bay of Plenty Regional Council is dropping the fare for all smart card users for the 2 days, making it a cheap way to enjoy the city during the holiday weekend. Passengers just need to show their cards to the driver when they hop on and their fare will be waived. City Ride buses will not run on Good Friday or Easter Monday. In sport tonight, local marathon runner Mike Tennant is close to completing his goal to raise funds for hospice by completing 52 half marathons in 52 weeks. The 54-year-old has increased his original goal to include 3 extra half marathons, with the final one being the Rotorua Marathon in May.
I've extended my target just a little bit from what I started. So instead of the 52 in 52 weeks, I've set myself what was always a hidden goal of 55 half marathons in 52 weeks, which would mean I'd run my age.
Taking part in half marathons around the country, Mike looks set to achieve his fundraising goal.
At this stage, we have the original target. If you remember, a year ago, we were targeting $20,000 to $25,000. We have $21,500 in the bank, and we have a further $24,000 pledged, obviously, to be gathered after I finish my final event.
And you can see Mike's full interview later in the program. To your weather update now. Tonight, showers with northeasterlies and an overnight low of 13. Tomorrow, Wednesday, drizzle with northeasterlies, a high of 18 and a low of 15. And looking out to Thursday, rain becoming heavy with easterlies strengthening, a high of 18 and a low of 14. In the marine forecast for Lake Rotorua for Wednesday, northeast 10 knots rising to 15 knots in the morning with waves less than half a metre, and there'll be poor visibility and drizzle. Remember, for program listings and upload your videos, check out our website tvrotorua.co.nz or head to our Facebook page. Still to come tonight on City News, we find out more about Mike Tennant and his marathon running for hospice, and we have an extended 2-part interview with new Labor candidate Tamati Coffey.
Okay, I bought my first pair of these little sockets that my nephew, who's like 19 years old, he's talked me into buying them because he reckons that they're cool. So that's something I've never shared with anyone
You've
before.
never pulled yet. Thank you. I feel very
Do you
privileged.
feel good? Do you feel good, everybody?
Well, you may remember a story that I brought you in April of last year of a gentleman who is raising money for hospice by running 52 half marathons in 52 weeks. And he's with me today, Mike Tennant, and he's almost finished. Mike, thanks for joining us again today. 52 marathons so far, 51 marathons so far, and you've got one to go to achieve your record.
Half marathons, yeah. I've got one half marathon to go on Saturday, which will get me to 52. I've extended my target just a little bit from what I started. So instead of the 52 in 52 weeks, I've set myself what was always a hidden goal of 55 half marathons in 52 weeks, which would mean I'd run my age.
So you're going to be 55, or you're coming up to 55?
Yeah, I turned 55 the day after the Rotorua Marathon, so we're having a celebratory birthday party / hospice fundraiser the day after in the Redwoods.
How's the body holding up, Mike? Because that's a lot of running in 1 year.
Body's been pretty good, except a couple of times when I've hit some really tough runs. I had one a couple of weeks ago up in Auckland that bashed it around a bit, but the body still seems to bounce back pretty well.
Now, you mentioned off camera they don't stretch. Now, I find that quite surprising because I know runners who stretch because the muscles do tighten up.
During the week I'll do bits of stretches to try and keep the body loose in terms of the back especially. But on race day, you remember back to when you used to play rugby and that sort of stuff, you'd go out and do a gentle jog to run. Well, I'm starting my races with a gentle jog, so I don't really need to stretch much before I start. And when I finish, I'm usually too tired.
Yeah. How many shoes have you gone through?
I've killed one pair. I've got another couple of pair that are getting very close to death. But the Innovate shoes that I've worn have actually been really, really brilliant. The pair that I killed, I worked out, had done close to 800 Ks.
Wow, that's a lot of running, Mike.
Yeah,
the really amazing thing too is not just here in Rotorua you've been running, you've been all over the country.
Correct. I've been as far south as I've done a couple of events down in Wellington. I've done quite a few in the Hawke's Bay. I've been to New Plymouth, and then quite a few in Auckland and just north of Auckland. So.
Yeah. Awesome. Now, I guess the big question that of yours are going to be wanting to know is how much money have you raised for hospice?
At this stage, we had the original target. If you remember, a year ago, we were targeting $20,000 to $25,000. We have $21,500 in the bank, and we have a further $24,000 pledged, obviously, to be gathered after I finish my final event.
That's an amazing amount of money that you raise, Mike. The hospice must be absolutely wrapped with what you've done for them.
Yeah, it's going to. The reason it's been an easier thing to raise is because the money's going to go back to all of the different hospices around the country. So wherever the person's donated it from, it'll go back to their hospice, which has made people take ownership of it. So I've got sponsors from Christchurch, I've got sponsors from Dunedin and Queenstown, I've got sponsors from Auckland, so all around the country, and then at the end of it I'll be bundling it up into amounts based on where it's come from and donating it back to that hospice. So that's quite cool.
Well, I'm glad you brought up sponsors because obviously you need sponsors on board to help you out, not only with donations for hospice, but also for your running kit and entry fees and things like that. So have you had quite a lot of response from different companies around town or around the country?
I've had some fantastic sponsors. I've had Innovate, as I said, with the shoes. One of the best sponsors is a company called Total Sports, who run a lot of the events, and between them and a couple of other race directors with Lactic Turkey and the Hawke's Bay Trail Running Series, they're responsible for probably 30 to 35 of my events that I've got into this year for free. They've sponsored me into all their events. Lots of other individual events have helped me. That's been really good. Rock Tape have helped me tape up my knees, and believe me, they've held me together on quite a few races. I've had graphic designer, CAS graphic designers from Cambridge. I've had a website designer, W3 from Hamilton. And the list goes on. BNI, Business Network International, have been behind me the whole way and supporting me. And in fact, most of the sponsorship money has come from BNI members around the country.
Well, that's amazing. I'm just absolutely wrapped here, Mike, because I know hospice do an awesome service in our community. What about on race days? Have you had many people coming along and running with you?
Not too many running with me, although I had one really good run here in Rotorua with a local businessman named Peter Moingaroa. Peter's got a very special son, and between the two of us, we pushed Peter's son around for the full half marathon around the Festival of Rotorua half marathon, and it was Peter's first ever half marathon, so we did K on, K off, pushing his son, and it was a real highlight. It was brilliant.
What's kept you going, Mike?
The challenge has kept me going, and yet the highlight of it has been the people. I've met so many amazing people, and I've made probably another dozen of what I call close friends now that were people I've never even met before. People I meet at multiple events. I have people come up to me in events saying, oh, I remember running with you at this event or running with you at that event. And that's been the highlight. So while I've put a fair bit of effort and time into this, one of the biggest winners of the whole thing has been me.
Nice. Now, before we go, Mike, because we're almost out of time, what's been the highlight for you, apart from meeting the people? What's been the highlight marathon that you've done?
Run-wise, it's hard to separate between. There's two that really left me with the biggest buzz, and one was an event called The Goat. just before Christmas, which is run from the top of the Bruce round to the top of the Rotorua ski field. That was done in 4 to 5 degree temperatures, howling winds, rain, fog, mud, rocks, and it was just absolutely outstanding. And the other one was a local event run by the chap I mentioned earlier, Sean Collins from Lactic Turkey. He runs an event called the Big O round at Okatina. He ran a new course last year. His 21k half marathon finished up being 27k's, and again it was just absolutely fantastic. So those are 2 of the events, but I've had so many more highlights over the year.
Last question now, Mike. Once you've finished and you've had a bit of R&R, put the feet up for maybe a couple of weeks or even maybe a couple of months, what's the next big plan or big event for you?
I ran an event as part of the series last year when there was one weekend there was no event. I actually ran an event here at the Blue Lake called the Fat Man's Run, and we had about 60 people running it. We raised about $2,000 on the day. My plan is to make that an ongoing event for whatever charity, whether it's for hospice or for other charities in the future. So that's my plan, but I'll obviously keep running. I'll still be doing events. I expect myself to do 15 to 20 events a year ongoing.
You're a legend, mate.
Thanks, Alan.
Thank you.
Mate. Appreciate it.
Kia ora everybody, welcome back to City News. Well, we've got a special interview series for you now. You will know him well, you will love him. His name is Tamati Coffee. He has moved back to Rotorua and he's going to be standing in this year's election for Labour. Kia ora Rawatu koe.
Hi, kia ora everybody out there as well.
So we're going to start first of all by asking you some questions just about you. We'd like to maybe know something that you haven't shared with the nation already. What's something no one knows about you?
What's something no one knows? Okay, I bought my first pair of these little sockets that my nephew, who's like 19 years old, he's talked me into buying them because he reckons that they're cool. They're cool. So that's something I've never shared with anyone
You've
before.
never pulled your... Thank you. I feel very
Do you
privileged.
feel good? Do you feel good, everybody? Sockets, they're the way of the future,
There
apparently.
you go. Well, that's not what I was expecting, but I'm very grateful for it. Thank you, Tamati. So tell me a little bit now about your whakapapa and, how you link back into Rotorua.
Well, my mum, she ran away from Rotorua when she was 17 years old. She ran away down to Wellington, and that's where we got brought up, in the little suburb of Lower Hutt, which is a bit of an industry manufacturing area. We used to make cars and biscuits and smokes and all kinds of things. But we grew up in Lower Hutt, and it wasn't until I left high school, she decided that she was going to move back. Dad moved back, sisters moved back. And then I've finally come back as well. So after having grown up in Wellington, done my studies in Auckland and done some work in Auckland, I've come back to Rotorua, which is a beautiful being back here. It's home, it makes me feel fulfilled, and I walk around and I see places and I think my nanny used to have a house over there, and I think that my aunties and uncles used to live over there, and my nanny and koro are buried just over there, and it really brings it back for me.
It's your Tūranga Waiwai, the place where your feet belong.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, beautiful. So, some of the favourite places that you're going in Rotorua?
Favourite places, the museum, the Blue Baths. I used to actually, at university, I used to work over at the Blue Baths. I came back for the university holidays, and I was a bartender over there, just over that way. Yep. Other favourite places down at the lakefront. I think the lakefront is beautiful, but I think that we need to develop it a little bit more. I think that a bit more love could be put into there so that we make every tourist that comes to Rotorua jump in the lake over there, you know?
Oh yeah, man, you're talking my language now.
It's a beautiful spot, but how many of our tourists that come here actually end up jumping in a lake? Well, we need to make that a priority. So I do like the lakefront area. Ohinemotu, I don't get tired of showing all of my friends around down there. It's beautiful and it's magnificent for them to see the grates, in the ground, bubbling up with all the steam coming out of it and hot water bubbling around in the gutters. Love that. there's plenty of places around here that I love.
And how are people responding to you now that you've come home?
It seems as though everybody knows, which is the brilliant thing. Everybody keeps saying to me, "Hey, Tamati, welcome back, welcome back. Nice to be home," all that kind of stuff. I was just at the recycling centre before I came here, and I had 5 conversations with people just stopping me saying, "Welcome home, congratulations on the Labour thing, good luck for the elections," all that kind of stuff. So everybody knows.
Yeah, and that's got to be nice. I mean, what is that like, having everybody know you? There we go. See, I mean, we didn't pay him, by the way.
We did not, that is not set up.
So how is that, you know, having everyone know you and call out to you and stop you? And
it's really cool, it's really cool. Especially, I mean, I've gotten used to it because, you know, 10 years in television, you develop that, you know. It used to be really weird at first, but I've become quite accustomed to it, and I'm good with it. You know, if people want to say hello, then I'm all good with it as well, you know.
Yeah.
Usually they just want to have a chat, talk about TV, talk about New Zealand's Got Talent, or talk about some of the people that I've worked with. But lately, politics. I want to talk about politics.
yeah, but then you're very, very good at politics, aren't you? Because you studied it at university.
Yeah. I turned up at university and I didn't know what to do, like a lot of, I think, our people do. It was quite foreign, didn't know what a point or a paper was, or a degree or a diploma, and just kind of rolled my sleeves up and got into it. I did study it and studied lots of cool things all about international relations and how other countries play with each other, things like the European Union, other countries getting along with each other, and also New Zealand politics, and more specifically Māori politics as well, which was fascinating for me.
So we're going to have a little bit more of a talk now about your politics. We're going to come back after the break, everybody, and we're going to get into a little bit of Tamati Coffee and his political aspirations. We'll see you after the break. Welcome back. We're going to continue now with Tamati Coffee, a lovely man who, as you would have seen before the break, very popular. He's going to be talking to me now about his political aspirations. Kia ora anō.
Kia ora.
So you are standing for Labour. You won the, what do they call it?
I won there was a selection meeting, which is basically, there were a few of us that put our hand up to be the Labour candidate for Rotorua here, and so we had to do what's kind of like a big job interview in front of all of the Labour Party people here in Rotorua. We were all gathered together at the primary school just up the road, and we all had to stand up. We had to answer everybody's questions about anything they wanted to ask us, and then after that we had to give speeches on why we were the best people for the job. And it was hard. They usually call the question and answer session the grilling, because you're subject to any question, anything they want to ask you about your policies, about where you grew up, big challenges you've faced, your strengths, your weaknesses, all of that kind of stuff gets thrown at you, and you just have to stand there and deal with it like a prospective politician.
And at the end of the day, that's what politicians are in for, because the journalists are out to get to get them sometimes. To get them.
People like you.
Well, yeah. I'm not so much out to get anybody, but I would like to have a go at Winston Peters. He's like the great white shark.
Yeah.
You know, he is amazing, the way that he deals with journalists. I mean, have you got any strategies, or do you feel that your career in TV already has prepared you for all of those types of challenges?
Yeah, I do think that. I do think that having worked in a newsroom for 6 years kind of gears you up to dealing with media, you know. These people that we talk about in the media are actually my friends, you know. So when I've got questions, I just throw a question out to a couple of my friends and say, hey, what do you reckon about this and what do you reckon about that? They of course have to be all,
Neutral,
unbiased and neutral and stuff, but it's still, I feel as though I've got an insight that a lot of politicians haven't.
And you've got a following that a lot of politicians haven't, and particularly with the youth here, there were a lot of people that were quite young that didn't vote. So what's the strategy for that?
Yeah, well, there are 150,000 people nationwide who have just turned either 18, 19, 20 and will be voting in their first election, so that's a huge number of people, young people. There's also 150,000 new migrants that will be voting for their first time as well. So it's about getting to those people, and also, as we said before, those million people that stayed at home last election and didn't even bother to get out of their seat or leave their house and go and vote. So it's not about, for me, it's not about convincing all these National Party people that they should be Labour voters. It's about trying to mobilise those ones that sat at home last time round and say to them, and the young ones, and say to them, you know what? You should start taking an interest, because this is big and this affects your future. And we've got these people that are in Parliament spending your money. So you want it to be spent on good stuff and not dumb stuff, really simply.
Yeah, and it is keeping it simple sometimes that is the best approach, isn't it? Some of the things that you see that need to be done in Rotorua, what would you say maybe your 3 top priorities would be?
Yeah, well, I think first and foremost, jobs, because my dad, for instance, who is a qualified chef, spent 12 months last year out of work because he couldn't find a job, you know, and that kind of stuff becomes quite disheartening after a little while, because, you know, while he's 62 now, he's started, you know, he started to doubt himself, you know, and think, oh, I'm not any good, I'm not worth anything, and so that can have a real effect with people's heads. But also, you know, up at Tachikawa, all of those jobs were lost up there as well, and so now there's a whole lot of men walking around going, what do I do now? So I think we need to create jobs here, and Labour's got a big policy of strengthening our regions, you know, instead of having all these decisions made in Auckland or in Wellington, actually giving some power to the provinces and helping them to lift themselves up. So Rotorua will benefit from that, and we've developed our forestry policy, which gets the big thumbs up from the forestry industry as well. So that's one of the ways that we can do that, and create some sort of manufacturing hub here would be really cool. You know, we've got all of our forests all around us. Instead of sending our logs offshore because it's cheap enough too, why don't we keep them here and turn them into something? Turn them into furniture. Sell them to the people down in Christchurch that need a kitchen table or need some seats or a park bench or something like that. We've got the ability to create that here, and so that's what I would like to do. So jobs for me is a huge thing. Inspiring young people to want to stay here, that's another big thing as well. I don't know about you, but I've got plenty of whānau who are all sitting over there living the life in the GC, GC, Melbourne, Perth, and the mines, you know, and they're not coming back. They don't want to come back because there's no vision. So I want to create a vision for young people, but I also want to make sure that our old people are being looked after as well, and not feeling dislocated from the community, because I've spoken with a few older people now as well who feel unsafe in their houses, and you don't want that. I don't want to have it also where lots of our older people are staying at home and not participating in society. I want them to get out there, and I want them to feel connected.
Beautiful. Kia ora Tamati. I'm glad no one on the bus called out to you. Not yet. If they could wind their windows down, they probably would have. Thank you so much for spending time with us.
All good.
That was Rotorua's new Labour candidate, Tamati Coffee, speaking with Kitty Danielle. Don't forget, if you have a news event that we can support, give the office a call on 0734 88 984 or email news@tvrotorua.co.nz. Thanks for joining us tonight. From all the team at City News, Ko Maria.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.
City News was brought to you by East Brewster Lawyers Rotorua, celebrating 100 years of legal excellence and innovation.